Hey, what is up? I am Coach Ryan Fanley. We are in the Viper Pit, or today the Viper Classroom, because I got the whiteboard out. Today I'm going to discuss muscle building supplements that actually work. Every magazine you flip through, every ad, every Instagram star is hawking some kind of crazy miracle supplement. Super Jack 9070 XXX, trim tummy, trim bun, detox tea. A lot of it is garbage, okay? The industry is full of garbage. And I'm going to give you today supplements that actually work, that have research behind them, and I'm going to tell you why they work. Now, before I go any further, it's critical to understand that supplements are just the icing on the cake of a good program. Actually, you know what? Strike that. Supplements are the sprinkles on top of the icing, on top of the cake of an already sound nutrition and training program. So, if you're not training hard, you're not eating consistently well, forget this talk. Just turn it off, move somewhere else. No supplement will be able to help you unless you have those things nailed down. I cannot count the number of times someone asks me a question in the gym or on email, and they're not even training hard. They're not even eating well. They want the supplement, they want the magic cure. Forget that. This is not about that. This is for people that are already doing things correctly, kicking butt in the gym, kicking butt in the kitchen, and want to get that extra something special on top. So, with that being said, let's dig in. Actually, one more thing. Supplements, unless they cure a major deficiency, so like if you got scurvy or rickets or something, supplements aren't going to make a huge percentage difference, at least in the short term. Now, if we can take 0.1% and add that up over time, over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then maybe you got something, okay? So it's compounding interest of supplements. So one of the first goals when we enter the gym is to prepare the brain for the activity. Now, a lot of people talk about that. Okay, people talk about the pump, people talk about recovery and gains, but we don't talk about the brain. Guess what? Your brain controls all aspects of muscular contraction. So if your brain's not ready, you're going to have a crappy workout. If you have a crappy workout, you're not going to stimulate muscle growth. If you don't stimulate, you don't have anything to recover from. So two heavy hitters for preparing the brain are caffeine and alpha GPC. Caffeine has been really well studied. It basically reduces your perception of pain and fatigue, allows you to lift heavier weights, which is going to ultimately turn into a greater training effect. How much? Basically, it's kind of a wide range here, but I typically recommend anywhere from 200 milligrams to 1,200 milligrams prior to your workout. For reference, 200 milligrams is about the amount of caffeine in a standard cup of coffee. Not the Starbucks half-gallon of coffee. A 6 to 8 ounce standardized cup of coffee has about 200 milligrams of caffeine. Now, caffeine is something that you get sensitive to over time, so I'm sure you all remember the first time you ever had a sip of coffee. You had 2 sips and all of a sudden, woo, let's go, ready to get things done. Super productive, great workout, and then 3 weeks later, 2 sips don't cut it anymore, now you need 3 cups to get the same effect. So I recommend taking some periods off of caffeine periodically to resensitize those adrenal receptors to make sure you still get bang for your buck. If you're getting to the point where you have to down 4 pots of coffee to get anything done, probably going a little bit overboard, okay? Periodically take 2 to 3 weeks completely away from caffeine to resensitize yourself. But anyway, wide range, 200 milligrams to 1,200 milligrams. Start on the low end and build up as needed. Alpha GPC. The GPC stands for glycerophosphocholene. Alpha glycerophosphocholene. Basically what it does, it increases the neurotransmitter acetylcholine in the brain. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that's responsible for drive and focus, so you want that to be elevated when you're training. If you're the kind of person that sits and texts on your phone, making Instagram posts and selfies during your workout, you're already not focused, so you don't even need to worry about this. Work on that first. This is for hard training, hard driven individuals that want that extra little bit of focus to deliver to their workouts. Okay, the brain is ready. Now we're into the workout. During the workout, we want to increase muscle protein synthesis. That is your body's signaling for laying down new muscle tissue, for retaining nitrogen and actually building muscle fibers. Another thing that not a lot of people talk about is decreasing muscle protein breakdown. When you're in the gym, you are breaking down those fibers. If we can decrease the amount of breakdown we have and further do that over the course of the day, you're going to recover faster and recover better. And then finally, fuel the workout. So there's a couple things that do all three of these things. The first one is a form of pre-digested protein that you typically want to have during your workout. You can debate on all the nuances of it, but one of these things is good. Any one. EAAs, or essential amino acids, BCAAs, or branched chain amino acids, hydrolyzed caseinate, also known as PeptoPro, or hydrolyzed whey protein. The hydrolyzed component of it means it's pre-digested. So basically, instead of your stomach having to break it down and digest it, it gets absorbed directly into the small intestine and can get into your bloodstream rapidly. That's why you don't just have, 24 ounces of milk or a whey protein shake during the gym, because by the time it goes through digestion, it's going to be an hour or so before it actually gets in your bloodstream. These things hit your bloodstream very rapidly. Again, I don't engage in debates over which one's better. Just go with one of those options and you'll be just fine. As for how much, well, it's going to depend on the source, but typically I say 25 to 40 grams. Why the wide range? Well, a lot of it depends on the amino acid ratios of the EAAs or BCAAs. What you're looking for here is a protein source that strikes above the leucine threshold for muscle protein synthesis. What is the leucine threshold? Leucine is an amino acid that stimulates the mTOR pathway, which is the pathway for building muscle. Research is showing that you want to have around, it's going to vary a little bit on the size of the person, but 2.7 to 3 grams of leucine turns on the switch for muscle protein synthesis. So depending on your ratio of amino acids in here, you're looking for around 25 to 40 grams of one of these products to get that 3 grams of leucine threshold. Okay, so that covers the protein. That's going to increase the muscle protein synthesis. Now what do we do to decrease muscle protein breakdown? That's where the next one comes in. These are carb sources. Carbohydrate sources are great for decreasing muscle protein breakdown because they spike insulin. When you spike insulin, muscle protein breakdown ceases, okay, or it slows down. What are your options here? Highly branched cyclic dextrins are great, also Vitargo. Again, these are pre-digested sources so that your stomach doesn't have to be put to work to digest them. You're not going to have intestinal discomfort. How many of you have ever used dextrose, pure dextrose? I know I have, and I will save you the details, but I was a poop volcano during my workout because dextrose pulls a lot of fluid into your gut. You end up expanding, feeling all bloated. You don't want that. Now, how much for the carbs? Assuming you take carbs during your workout, and that's a topic for another day, 15 grams all the way up to 300 grams I've used. Wide range, I know. 300 grams, just to give you some context. Super skinny guy, very, very lean, very, very high training volume, and super high calorie levels who needed to grow. Okay, so that's why we went as high as we did for him. The amount of carbs is going to depend on several factors. First of all, how lean you are. The leaner you are, the higher that carb number can be, because you're going to be more likely to use it to either fuel the session or replenish muscle glycogen after the session is over. If you are higher in body fat, you're probably going to be a little bit insulin resistant, so you're not going to be able to use that as readily. So you might want to stay on the lower end. If you're in a muscle gain phase, there's a fat loss phase. Muscle gain phase, you're going to want that higher, so you have a calorie surplus. Fat loss phase, you want to use just enough to fuel the session and to stop muscle protein breakdown, but not so much that you have a bunch of circulating carbs in your bloodstream that can go into fat cells, okay? Size of the person, all right? A large individual can get away with more carbs during the workout because they have more muscle to feed. A smaller individual is going to be on the lower end. And then also the size of the muscles you're training, so legs, if you're doing a quad, hamstring, glute, and low back workout or a total body session, you're going to be able to go higher on those carbs than if you're doing just say an arms and forearm session or something cheesy like that, okay? These are two great options for accomplishing these goals. So, what are some other things? Oh, there's more. You better believe it. This board flips over if you didn't know. All right? Oh, hey, we're going to have to go. Okay, we're talking specifically muscle growth here. So it wouldn't be a talk about muscle growth if we did not talk about the pump. All right, the pump, or also known as increased blood volume, vasodilation, and cellular swelling. I'm hurt. I know that was Arnold Schwarzenegger, in case you didn't know, back from his pump and iron video. But the pump is a very real thing. A lot of bodybuilders chase it, strive for it, live and die by it, essentially. But it really does have a physiological mechanism for increasing muscle growth. When you have a lot of blood volume, when you have vasodilation, or opening up of the blood vessels, and when you have cellular swelling, that is basically a rush of fluid into the muscle tissue, that is actually a signal for muscle growth to occur. So, with these things, with increased blood volume, the other thing we're looking to do is bring a lot of nutrients to the tissue. Again, if you're training legs, you want to increase muscle protein synthesis in the leg and decrease muscle protein breakdown. So a higher blood volume and a vasodilation is going to carry more of those proteins that we talked about earlier, more of those carbs we talked about earlier, directly to the legs. Training is the only time during the day that you can tell nutrients exactly where you want them to go. Okay, so remember that. So that's why it's a good idea to get some blood volume and vasodilation happening. Cellular swelling is basically when you've got a lot of fluid. It's called hyperemia. A lot of fluid, a lot of blood, a lot of water inside the muscle cell, and it causes the cell walls to stretch and expand. That signals new muscle growth. It's very important. Okay? What are some things that do that? Citrulline malate is one. Citrulline malate basically increases plasma arginine. Arginine is a powerful vasodilator. 5 to 8 grams of that will do the trick during the workout. Arginine, okay, I just talked about it. 4 to 6 grams of arginine will do the trick. Now, if citrulline increases plasma arginine, why do you also need arginine as well? I'm glad you asked, okay? I don't actually know, but there was a research paper that was recently published that showed that the two of them together had a more powerful impact than just either one of them alone in terms of vasodilation and cellular swelling and things like that. So, we're going to use them both together to get a greater effect. And then finally, glycerol, also known as Hydromax. Well, Hydromax is a form of glycerol, a powdered form, I should say. Basically, that attaches itself to water and carries itself to the muscle cells. So you're bringing a lot of water into the cells, so you get more of that cellular swelling. Very cheap, very inexpensive Hydromaxes. 5 to 8 grams of that will do the trick. And then finally, the last category would be things that increase work capacity or your ability to do work in the gym. Creatine monohydrate, very, very well studied, very, very safe, very, very effective. Now, a lot of companies are going to try to dig into your wallets with all these fancy different esters of creatine, creatine ethyl ester, creatine gluconate, blah, blah, blah. Our creatine is better than yours. Look, creatine monohydrate is the best one out there. There's really nothing more effective. How much you should take? 5 to 8 grams is plenty. You will excrete whatever you don't need, and it's an inexpensive supplement, so I tend to go a little on the higher side of that. Do you need to load it? No. Okay, loading used to be the old train of thought where you do 20 to 30 grams of creatine a day for 2 weeks and then drop back to this maintenance dose. Research shows that if you just start at the maintenance dose, you will eventually get fully stocked creatine in the tissue. Okay? And then beta-alanine. Beta-alanine is another one that increases work capacity. So what are we talking about when we're talking about work capacity? These two supplements, when used together during the workout, let's say you're capable, without using these, of squatting 100 kilos for 10 reps. Start taking these, all of a sudden that 100 kilos, now you can do 11, 12, 13 reps with it. So you're able to do more work. Over time, those additional reps that you can get contribute to greater muscle protein synthesis and greater overall muscle growth. So again, this is a compounding effect here. You're not going to get huge just from one workout of taking creatine or beta-alanine. It's the fact that you can do more work over time where the biggest impact is. Dosage for beta-alanine, between 1 to 15 grams. Wide range there. Now here's something funny about beta-alanine, just a word of caution. Beta-alanine, when taken in a high enough dosage, will make you feel like your face is melting off. You're going to get itchy, kind of a red face, almost flushed, tingly, almost some tingling in the hands, pins and needles type of feeling. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly safe. It just feels a little weird. It might freak you out. What I recommend, start at 1 gram for a workout. See how you feel. If there's no tingle, go up to 2 grams. See how you feel. Just go workout to workout until you find your quote-unquote tingle tolerance. For me personally, 9 grams makes my face feel like it's melting off. So 8 grams is the dosage I use when I train. So it's not like, I'm tingling a little bit. It's not tingle, not tingle, not tingle, not tingle, and then 1 gram more, face is melting. Okay, so just to warn you, I've seen some people get up to 15 grams with no tingle. I don't really see any reason to take more than 15 grams. So we're gonna have to individualize that dosage. Now, hopefully I gave you guys some good tips and some good things you can add to your supplementation for improved muscle gains. Are there more things than this that could be beneficial? Absolutely. But here's the thing. If this stuff isn't enough for you, on top of a good diet and good training, and you need more, odds are that means you're probably a really, really high-level athlete, and you're not looking at YouTube videos for advice. You probably have a medical doctor in your field, you probably have a prep coach or someone who can give you those more advanced things. This is going to get you a long, long, long way there, and if you need more than that, honestly, you're probably a really high-level athlete. This is pretty in-depth for a supplement stack for muscle growth. Of course, there's more things that can help, but again, we're looking at individualization and customization at that point, and that's best done with a coach or a physician. Medical lab tests, things like that, get your blood drawn. So these are great supplements to use, great to include. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it, like it, subscribe to my channel. I'm Coach Ryan from the Viper Pit, and I'll see you next time.